Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. This is your great tutor. Today I've prepared a lesson about living and non-living things. So today generally we are going to look on living and non-living things. This is a subject mostly for grade 4. Our lesson today will take around 30 minutes, less or a bit more. This is your channel, your best channel. It's your great tutor. You can please subscribe and you can share to your fellow learners. So we will start. The objective of our lesson today will be learners should be able to define living and non-living things, state characteristics of living things and give examples. Yeah, that is our first slide. It generally explains whatever we will be doing today, and I think we can continue to the next slide. So in the next slide you can see this topic is living and non-living things. As I had said before, this is a science subject for mostly for grade 4 learners. And yeah, like what I mean is this topic is mostly learned in grade 4, but you as a primary school student or as a beginner or in your lower levels, this is a topic that you will mostly encounter in your exams, in your assessments. So although it's a grade 4 subject, it's advisable, it's really advisable to grab all the concepts so that you can be able to tackle any question that comes in your science assessments concerning this topic. So today we'll explore one of the most exciting topics, living and non-living things. By the end of this lesson, as I had told you earlier, you will be able to tell the difference between living things, between things that are alive, that is it, and those that are not alive. Below you can see a picture of living things and non-living things. For the living things we have plants. For now I'll just tell you to have an image of the pictures. We have not gone through the notes, so just have an image of a picture, then through the notes you'll be able to determine whether it's a living thing or it's a non-living thing. So for the living things we have the plants, the animals, bacteria, fungus, and protists. For the non-living things we have water, soil, light, minerals, and air. Just keep that in your mind so that when we will be going deep into the notes, you will be able to determine or to distinguish well between the living and the non-living things. Let's continue to the next slide. Lesson objectives. By the end of this lesson, as a learner, what should you have gained? What should you have gained? First of all, you should be able to define living and non-living things. You should be able to explain very well what are living things and what are non-living things. Another objective is that you should be able to identify the characteristics of living things. The third objective, you should be able to give examples of living and non-living things. If you have somewhere to note down, you can note down the objectives so that as you go on, you will be able to tick where the objective has been met. What I mean by that is that the objective shows what you are expected to have covered throughout the whole topic. So in bits by bits, you should be able to mark along your objective with whatever we'll be covering. Every good scientist starts with clear goals. What are clear goals? Clear goals. A goal is something that you want to achieve. So by this note, every good scientist starts with a clear goal. Every good scientist knows what he is aiming for, knows what he wants to achieve. So today, the three objectives that we have heard above will guide us through the learning. To start with, let us start with living things. What are living things? That's where we get the definition of living things. Living things are things that have life. They can grow, move, they can grow, they can become from a smaller state to a bigger state. That is growth. Move. Living things can move. Can move is to change position from one point to another. That is what we mean by moving. Can reproduce. What is reproducing? Reproducing is giving birth. Reproducing is giving birth to young ones. Living things reproduce. Living things gives birth. Living things are able to respond to the environment. What do I mean by responding to the environment? Living things should be able to face the conditions of the environment. Let's say it's very sunny. A living thing, let's say for an animal is a living thing. If an animal is exposed to very high sunlight, it will be able to change its position from the sunlight to where it can get some enough shade. That's what I mean by that's what I mean by living things are able to respond to their environment. Examples are humans. Examples of living things are humans, animals, birds, plants, and insects. All these are able to grow, they can move, they can reproduce, and they can respond to the environment. Living things are special. Why are they special? They can breathe, eat, and grow, just like you and me. You are a human, I'm a human, meaning we are living things. We can grow. At some point we are kids, at some point you have growth, you are 4 years, at some point you are 6 years, at some point you will be 10, at some point you will be 20, at some point you will be 30. That is growth. We can reproduce, we can give birth, we can respond to the environment. As a human being, you are a living thing and you can respond to the environment. When it's so cold, you can get a sweater to keep yourself warm. That is what I mean by human living things can respond to the environment. Just like here I have a picture showing all types of living thing. Let's start with this picture here. This is a cheetah. It's an living thing, it's an animal. Here we have this should be a lizard. It's a living thing. It can reproduce, it can move, it can grow. The next picture is a mushroom. That's a plant. All plants are living things. This is a fish. It's a living thing, and so on and so forth. We have an insect, we have some trees, we have a bird, we have some branches here, we have some flowers. These are living things. Let's go on to non-living things. For non-living things, we will start with asking ourselves a simple question. we will start by asking ourselves a very simple question. What are these non-living things? What are these non-living things? Non-living things are things that do not have life. They cannot grow, they cannot reproduce or respond to the environment. Examples are stones, tables, cars, phones, books, etc. We can add televisions, we can add radios, we can add cooking pots, we can add shoes, we can add, the list is endless. These are things that don't have life. Living things may move or make sounds, but they do not have life. They can move, they can make sound, but they do not have life. A car can move, yes. A car can change positions from one point to another. A car can move, but only when driven. That is, it cannot move on its own. You have to have another force, that's a person who will come in and drive the car. A car cannot move on its own. It cannot move or grow by itself. So that is an unliving thing. Here we have a picture. We have a picture of non-living things. Non-living things here. We have clouds. Clouds cannot move, they cannot grow, they don't have life. Pencil the same. Bicycle, notebook, chair, drill, car, teddy bear, clock, plane, scissors, microscope, phone, ball. All these are non-living things. They have similar characteristics. They cannot move. Let's go back to the characteristics and see whether all things have all those similar characteristics of non-living things. They cannot move. They cannot grow. They cannot reproduce. They cannot respond to the environment. A pencil cannot respond to the environment. A pencil cannot reproduce. So all these are non-living things. Main differences between living and non-living things. Let's start with number one feature, growth. Growth, the same. Living things can grow. We have a tick. Living things can grow. Non-living things cannot grow. Example, a human being is a living thing. A television is a non-living thing. A television cannot grow. Non-living things don't grow. A human being can grow. Human beings can grow. That's why living things can grow. Breathe. Living things can breathe. A human being can breathe. Living things cannot breathe. A television, which is an unliving thing, cannot grow. Move by themselves. That is changing position from one point to the other. Non-living things can move, yes, can change position from one point to another. Non-living things cannot move. Non-living things cannot change positions from one point to the other. Reproducing, giving birth. Non-living thing cannot reproduce. Water is a non-living thing. It cannot reproduce. An animal, let's say a dog, it's a living thing, meaning it can comfortably produce. It's a living thing. Need food and water. That is consumption of food and water. Living things consume food. They consume food and they consume water. Let's say a cow, it's an animal, it's a living thing. A cow will consume food, it will consume water. That is a cow needs food to survive, it needs water to survive. But let's take an example of a non-living thing, a cooking pot. A cooking pot does not require water. It does not require food. That's why on need for food and water we have a no for non-living thing. They don't require that. I hope you are still together. I hope you are following up. I hope you are grabbing something for yourself. Characteristics of living things. Here, to remember the characteristics of living things, well, we have an acronym that is mostly used to refer to the characteristics of the living things. This is Mrs. GREN, sorry. Mrs. GREN is an acronym that is used to refer to the characteristics of the non-living things. So by Mrs. GREN, we have each letter in that word Mrs. GREN representing a certain characteristic. We start with M, movement. All things move. M in Mrs. We started with M, then we had R for respiration. All living things are able to respire, or they does respiration. They use oxygen to release energy. S, sensitivity. They respond to changes. They respond to changes in the environment. That is light, sound, heat. G, for growth. They increase in size and develop. For R, all living things are able to reproduce. So R for reproduction. They produce young ones. E for excretion. They remove waste materials. N for nutrition. They need food to stay alive. So Mrs. GREN acronym simply states all the characteristics of the living things. So this is a very important acronym for you to remember. You can note that down, Mrs. GREN. You can also note down all what the letters represent. Please make sure you have noted that down. A note to take home. Scientists use the word Mrs. GREN to remember these 7 features of life. Every living thing from the tiniest ant to the biggest elephant shows all of them. What do I mean by this? This means that all living things, however small, however big it is, they share all these characteristics. Thank you. Below we have another slide showing living things around us. Living things around us. In your surrounding, wherever you are, there are people, there are pets, you have dogs, cats, there are trees, there are birds, insects, fish. All these are examples of living things. Look around your home or school. You'll see living things everywhere. Some live on land. On land we have like plants, we have the animals. Others in water. In water we have fish, frogs, and others in air. In air we have the insects. Here is a picture showing living things. From the picture you can be able to tell me what you can see. Myself, I can see a tree, I can see people, I can see insects, I can see frogs, I can see a snail, I can see flowers, and many other more. All these are examples of living things that are around us. Non-living things around us, we have the chairs, phones, bags, cars, and houses. All these are non-living things. Non-living things make our lives easier. But remember, It's very important to remember they don't grow, they don't move, and they don't feel. Below is an example. Below is a picture showing non-living things. We have a ball, we have a house, we have a car, we have a bag, we have books, we have chair, we have a cape, we have an umbrella, we have side lights, we have a car. All these are non-living things. Remember the characteristics of non-living things. They don't move, they don't grow, they don't require food and water, they don't feel, they don't respond to changes in the environment. All these are characteristics of non-living things. Next slide. Here it's an activity. I want this to be a bit interactive. So here we have pictures. I would really want us to have a very interactive session here. This is where I want to see if you have at least grabbed something from the lesson. Quick activity. Here I want us to identify whether the pictures shown below represent living or a non-living thing. We'll start with picture number 1. This is a tree. I want to give you 10 seconds so that you can tell me whether it's a living or it's a non-living thing. A tree. Is a tree a living or a non-living thing? That's what I want you to tell me. Okay, 10 seconds. Yeah, your 10 seconds are over. So for a tree, I'll start with giving you the characteristics of a tree. A tree will grow. A tree will grow. A tree is first planted. For example, the picture we have here, it's a very big tree. This is not how it was at the beginning. It has grown from some point to where it is right now. So trees grow. So that is one characteristic. So by that alone, you can be able to tell whether it's a living or it's a non-living thing. We said living things can grow, and I said the tree can grow, meaning a tree is a living thing. A rock, this our picture number 2. I'll give you another 10 seconds so that you can determine whether it's a living or it's a non-living thing. A tree, I mean a rock, sorry. We are at picture number 2, a rock. I'm giving you 10 seconds and you can tell me whether it's a living or it's a non-living thing. Your 10 seconds are over. Let's get to the rock. A rock, I'll start again by giving you the characteristics so that you can tell me whether it's a living or it's a non-living thing. A rock does not grow. A rock does not respond to changes in the surrounding. A rock does not respire. So a rock is a non-living thing. It does not possess any characteristic of a living thing. Next picture is a dog. I'll give you another 10 seconds so that you can tell me whether it's a living or it's a non-living thing. Your 10 seconds are over. Your dog. A dog. It's an animal. A dog grows. A dog is able to respond to changes in the surrounding. A dog consumes food and water, meaning it's a living thing. Those are all characteristics of living things. Let's get to a clock. I'll give you another 10 seconds so that you can tell me if a clock is a living or it's an unliving thing. Is a clock a living or an unliving thing? Okay, for a clock, I think for a clock, I'll leave that to you to decide. From all the characteristics that I've told you, I know you are able to tell whether a clock is a living or it's an unliving thing. But maybe you can go through it together. It's no harm. A clock is an unliving thing. Why? Why is a clock an unliving thing? You can let that on the comment section. You can let me know why we are saying a clock is an unliving thing. Can continue to the next and to the last slide. This is the summary of the whole lesson. Summary of the whole lesson. Summary of today's lesson. Living things have life. They grow, move, and reproduce. This is what we have been saying throughout the whole lesson. Living things are able to reproduce, are able to move, they are able to grow, they have life. Non-living things do not have life. That is the definition of a non-living thing. They do not have life. The 7 characteristics of living things are shown by Mrs. GREN. This is the acronym that I told you it's used to show the characteristics of the living things. Mrs. GREN. I told you to note that down. I hope you did that. Great work. You have learned how to identify what's alive and what's not. Remember Mrs. GREN. Of all the things, should at least remember Mrs. GREN. Should at least remember Mrs. GREN. This is what is used to show the characteristics, all characteristics of the living things. Thank you so much for giving me your time, for listening to me. I'm your great tutor. I'll be taking you through most of the topics that you will need to know. On the comment section, if you have a problem with any topic, you can be able to tell me to prepare a lesson for you. No matter how hard it is, no matter how easy it is, I'm always here for you. I'll always help you whenever you need me. Thank you so much for your time. Please make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel so that we may be able to journey together to your greatness, from grade 1 to greatness, from grade 1 to greatness. Thank you so much. May you be blessed.